Welcome to the SSN On Base podcast, where we're talking baseball, both MSU and everything about baseball. Here's your host, Rob Bennett.
Welcome back, fans, to SSN from the dugout and our special 2016 Michigan State baseball preview right here on the Spartan Sports Network in our CBRE Martin studios. I'm Rob Bennett, and once again, honored to be joined by Jake Boss Sr., Scott Moore, and of course, Michigan State baseball coach Jake Boss Jr. Thanks for sticking around, guys. Talking a little bit more Michigan State baseball. How about it?
Absolutely, that's great.
All right.
It's the season.
Let's look at the non-conference schedule, beginning with Presbyterian, then facing teams like Auburn, Texas A&M, and Notre Dame, and of course, big game against Oregon here later in the season. Scott, what jumps out at you when you first saw this non-conference schedule? What really took you back a little bit? Well, what gets you more excited about this?
The interesting thing about non-conference scheduling, and Coach can talk about this a little bit, is you have to have that balance. You want to pick up wins. You know, it's just like any sport, especially football, basketball,
right.
business. You want to pick up wins, but you want to pick up quality wins, and you want to test your team too. So you've got to have that balance between some games that you think you can win and some games that you hope you can win.
Right. Well, you know, I think the first weekend is a pretty good example where we play Fordham, Presbyterian, and Furman.
Yep.
And, you know, probably similar to hockey, Scott, where, you know, there's some of the schools that are very, very good in the sport, but they're not big-name schools.
Mm-hmm.
Union College comes to mind when I think they won a national title a couple years ago. And, you know, things like that. So that's prevalent in baseball with over 300 Division I schools. And so, you know, and everybody's got a good arm. You know, and when you have a good arm, you can run a good arm out against a good team and have a chance to win. You know, Presbyterian is a pretty good example.
Yeah.
I think they beat Clemson a year ago. They beat South Carolina a year ago. Furman did the same thing. They beat us a year ago, but they also beat South Carolina and I believe Clemson. You know, Fordham has always got some good pitching, always, and has a chance to. You know, like I said, when they play well, they got a chance to beat you. So, you know, we're going to have to play well. They may not be the big name schools. Mm-hmm. Coastal Carolina is another good example, one of the top programs in all of college baseball, and not a very big name school for baseball and football, or football and basketball, I guess. And so, you know, that's what we're facing really, you know, all year long. I mean, or early on especially, you know, UCF has had a very good program. Texas State is outstanding in baseball. Southern Miss has been to the World Series, you know, in the recent past. You know, Auburn, obviously, an SEC school.
Yep.
So, you know, some of these schools that we're going to be playing are outstanding, you know, while it may not be the big name that, you know, a lot of people are used to, they're outstanding baseball programs.
What about you, Senior? What jumped out at you?
I think this could be one of your toughest or tougher schedules, you know, preceding the Big Ten schedule. And you know, I feel the same way. I think you got to play. You want to be the best. You got to play the best, and you got to see that good pitching day in and day out. And yet, like you said, Scott, you got to have the right mix. Where, you know, we got to beat some people here too. You know, playing against quality teams is one thing, but you know, we got to beat them too. And I like our chances this year. You know, with the kids that we got, you know, I think we could be able to compete with anybody we play.
And with that, obviously, we all know getting off to a good start is important, just for record-wise, but also for RPI. When you look at, I know it's the beginning of the season, you don't really look at the numbers, but this is a chance, especially with this schedule, as Senior said, to really open some eyes up early and really get, you know, the footing in the ground as far as conference, you know, when you look at the big picture of things.
Sure.
As crazy as that sounds when you open up the season, but that's the way it is for college baseball.
That's life of the northern school in college baseball. You know, you have limited opportunities to open people's eyes, you know, before the Big Ten Conference starts. Now, with, you know, for us, the league was obviously outstanding last year. It's going to be very good again this year. So, you know, things are changing a little bit in that regard. But at the same time, you know, you play a Fordham, a Presbyterian, and a Furman that first weekend, and you know, after we play them, regardless of whether we win or lose, you know, I hope those teams go out and win their league.
Sure.
You know, that's the important thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, for us, you want them to all go out and play well, and you know, and beat some good people, and because that all helps, you know, your RPI when the committee sits down to look at it at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And having that home series with Oregon, I'm going to pinpoint that. Obviously, preseason, ranked. I mean, just having that, you guys were out there last year, did very well, obviously, but having them come here, the importance of that, and what a great atmosphere that's going to be for that game.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. I think, we've had some big games on campus before, going all the way back to, the 1950s. I mean, we played baseball for, 130 years or 140 years now. So there have been a lot of big games on campus. I think this might be the biggest series that we've ever hosted. It's an outstanding ball club. They've got a lot of pitching that's back. That was, they were out a year ago due to injuries, and the pitching staff, they're going to run 3 guys out there that are probably mid-90s. Fastballs and very good breaking balls, all going to be very high draft picks and things like that. Plus, there's some added motivation there, because we did go out there and play very well last year and swept the series out there. And so, but to have a team of that caliber, coming to East Lansing, I think is going to be a lot of fun for everybody. And we're starting to get, with the way the new RPI rules are, more and more teams are willing to travel now. Fresno State will come here in 2017, I'm sorry. And we'll return the trip in 2018. But a school like that won the national title in 2009, and another very solid program. And so, you get more credit for a road win, and more teams are willing to at least consider going on the road now.
And Coach, just put on it, guys. I mean, being able to have teams like that come here for a change is the importance of that, and how excited are you guys looking forward to calling those type of games?
Oh, it's always fun to call a game like that, because especially on your own home diamond, hopefully things are going well for your team, and any time that you're doing well against a quality opponent, that makes it more fun. Certainly to call the game. But I think it's going to be fun for the fans to come out and be able to see this quality team and see how Michigan State stacks up against a quality team like that early in the season. I think that's going to be a real bellwether mark.
And to be honest, recruiting. I mean, comes
exactly.
Down to that's huge.
That is huge for recruiting when kids see that. Look who's coming in. Fresno State, Oregon. Notre Dame coming in here, and that's huge. Kids see that and they want to be a part of that, and that's really important.
Mm-hmm. Start the season when you put the team out there during the. When do you start tinkering? It's about 10 games in, 12 games in. When do you really start looking at it and maybe start tinkering with things on a regular basis as the season goes on? Or is there a time frame for you as a coach that we're 12, 15 games in. This is going well. This isn't going so well. When do you start looking at that?
Depends on how it's going.
Yeah.
If we're winning and we're playing well, I'm not touching a thing. Out of the way. But things are usually, the lineup at the end of the year is always different than it is at the beginning. And I think you run a lineup out at the beginning of the year where you feel good about it, and but invariably guys get hurt. Guys need some time. Off, guys go into slumps. Other guys start to play well, and so. It's always different. I think you do as good a job preparing guys as possible. We have a lot of young guys on the ball club this year, and certainly you want to give some of those guys the opportunity to adjust to college baseball at this level. But if a guy's really struggling, maybe a day off is important for him to mentally. And so there's a fine line there, and it's different every year. It's different with every guy, and so it's just something that we, as coaches, try to keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on, and plug different guys in as we see fit, guys that we think are going to give us the best chance to win that day.
I would imagine you have to really depend on your assistants for that too. They can tell you, hey, this guy's looking really good, let's try him out.
Right.
This guy needs a break.
Yeah, no question. And this time of year, once the season starts, we don't practice a whole lot just because we play so much.
Yeah.
And so batting practice becomes extremely important. I mean, that's extra work becomes extremely important. That's the opportunity for guys to really find their rhythm and get into a groove, swinging the bat, and bullpens for pitchers and things of that nature. So all of that is something that we really try to impress on our guys that, if we don't, if Monday's an off day, we play on Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday's a short practice day because we're either traveling or trying to get ready for an important series. So we're not going to, really go too hard on Thursday. It's just a matter of staying in, like I said, in a good rhythm. But, you have to take advantage of the opportunities when you get them.
And Senior, it's all about matchups too. Would you agree? Depending on the matchup, I mean, how important does that get into the whole process of?
Yeah, it certainly can be, and it just depends on how deep we are. We had a senior-laden team last year. We had some depth, but at the same time, the guys that were on the field had played a lot, and we felt good about them and the opportunities they gave us to win. A lot of new guys again this year, but we're deeper than maybe we ever have been too. So we may be able to play those matchups a little bit more, right-handed hitter versus left-handed pitcher, and vice versa, and things like that.
I was going to add. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's always one of the toughest decisions I think a coach or coaching staff, has to make as the season goes on. Do you let that kid play his way out of the lineup, or you just. Yeah. How long do you go with the guy, and so on and so forth. Those are and those are times when your coaching meetings and your staff meetings are important as you talk about your kids and what's best for the ball club and what's best for that individual.
I was going to ask you too. You mentioned a little bit, Coach. Is this quite possibly the most depth you've had as far as a Michigan State baseball team you've coached?
Well, I think going into the year, we would say that right now, absolutely. Yeah. I think we've got interchangeable parts all over the field. We've got very talented kids that, we feel good about plugging into, not only several different positions, but, kind of anywhere in the lineup. And so, we'll see how it shakes out. The lineup's always different at the end than it is at the beginning. But we feel good about the fact that there is a lot of depth. Again, we have several guys that can play several different positions. So,
as far as practice has been going, position battles, first base, third base, how's that going?
Well, yeah, all over the field, really.
Yeah.
Our infield would be completely new. We graduated our third baseman in Mark Wiest, who's playing pro ball. Ryan Richardson was a senior. Second base was kind of revolving door last year for us, so we had a lot of different guys. And first base was Ryan Krill. So freshman third baseman Marty Bikina will compete with Justin Hovis, at third base, and both guys are very good defensively. Bikina maybe a little bit ahead offensively than Hovis, but Justin's a senior and he's played a lot of baseball, and so hopefully it clicks for him at the plate this year. But shortstop, again, we have a returner in Corey Young that played there a little bit last year. Royce Ando is a freshman as well, who's a very dynamic player, and so we'll see how that shakes out. Second base, Jordan Zimmerman is a junior college transfer, is a very offensive type of player. PJ Nowak is back. He's nursing an injury right now, so he's probably out for the first couple weekends. But Dan Durkin is here as well, that can play both second base and in the outfield. And so we'll see how that shakes out. But and at first base, Alex Troop, who's a sophomore, Zach McGuire is a sophomore. One's right-handed, one's left-handed. Troop pitches as well. At the same time, we can move Zimmerman to first base, maybe Durkin to first base. Hovis can play first base as well. So a lot of options in the infield without question. In the outfield, Brandon Hughes is back. He'll probably move to center field for us. Outstanding outfielder, probably hitting the middle of the order for us. And left field and right field are going to be, wide open. Still to, right now we're 11 days away, and I still don't know, what we're going to do out there just yet. Dan Durkin, like I said, can play in the outfield. We've got a couple of junior college transfers. Taylor Grace is a kid that transferred from California Junior College. Chris Simonton is a young man who was at Akron last year, played for 3 years at Akron, and Akron dropped their program, unfortunately. So he was granted, a waiver and is eligible to play right now. I got a couple freshmen, and that will compete for time as well. So The outfield is kind of wide open, and our catching situation is, Chad Roskelley's on the shelf right now, injury-wise. He may be able to hit for us the first weekend, but he probably won't catch, which would leave the catching to a junior college transfer named Matt Byers, who's an outstanding catch-and-throw guy. Will Salter is back. He's a sophomore this year and has improved tremendously over the past year. And Luke Gazilli's kind of on the shelf right now with an injury too. So, a lot of unknowns right now, but that I think makes it fun. I think there's a lot of different guys that can do a lot of different things.
Having gone through that lineup or that potential lineup, you mentioned that Troop can play in the field and can pitch.
Right.
Brandon Hughes was in that situation as well. Is he still in the bullpen, or have you made a decision to just keep him in one spot?
Yeah, Hughes may just play center field this year. We tried it on the mound. The mound, is very taxing on him. It's very taxing to be a two-way player, especially an outfielder and a pitcher. Playing in the infield may be a little bit different, especially at first base where you don't have to do a whole lot of throwing. But, Brandon's arm right now is probably more suited for center field, and if we can get him, to the point where he can throw comfortably off the mound and keep his velocity, then maybe that's something that we'll think about doing. But he had an arm injury in high school. And that's something that obviously we don't want to have happen again.
Sure.
So Brandon may just end up pitching or playing center field for us. Troop is one that can play the outfield as well, but we're going to be careful with that because he's very valuable for us on the mound. He may end up being a starter for us at some point. Could be a bullpen guy. Again, not quite sure. We're very deep on the mound. And a lot of guys are throwing very well on the mound. So we'll see how that all shakes out. With who the starters are going to be and things like that.
Yeah.
But that will impact Troop's role.
Yeah, I was going to just ask the rotation, how's that working itself out? Because you got a lot. We talked about depth on this team. That might be the most depth. Senior and I were talking about that you've had is actually in the pitching area.
It is, yeah, it is. Cam View's back. He was a draft last year and has thrown well for us, so he's probably the Friday guy. Saturday or Sunday right now, as it stands, it's probably either Ethan Landon or Walter Borkovich. One could go Saturday, one could go Sunday, and not sure yet how that's going to play out. But that's kind of what we're looking at as far as the top three are concerned. Keegan Barr is on the shelf right now a little bit with the shoulder. He's going to be fine. It's just a matter of time. So he'll be back. Probably middle of March and ready to throw. Andrew Gonzalez, Alex Troop.
Yeah.
A lot of guys that are very, very capable, and so it's a good problem to have. We'll be able to spread out a lot of innings between guys and keep them fresh, especially for the end of the year.
One thing I wanted to bring up in the last podcast was the summer leagues that the upperclassmen played in last year. Kept an eye on that and the importance of that, and for those guys and coming back. And
sure.
Some of those guys had really excellent years for the summer league, and the importance of that and giving guys chances for that as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's an important time for our guys, especially the guys that kind of see limited action position wise and on the mound. It's a good time for them to get out and play every day, really improve, get a lot of at bats, and see a lot of good pitching on the mound. Depending on how many innings the guy threw for us. We'll try to limit some things for some pitchers. If a guy didn't throw a whole lot, then we'll just kind of turn him loose over the summer, and hopefully he gets in a lot of innings. But a guy like Cam View was limited as far as his innings were concerned over the summer.
Sure.
And it's again a good chance to work on something. But it's a taste of minor league baseball, and they enjoy that obviously. But very important time for us, and most guys really do a good job with that, and are ready to go once fall ball starts.
I want to ask all three of you guys, who's on the upperclassmen? Who are you looking at maybe to have verge of a breakout season? Maybe not one that you're hoping for, but just from what you've seen or from last year into practice this year, and who maybe are the younger guys could really step up maybe as a leadership role and really have a breakout season as well.
Sure. Well, I mean, you look at the returning guys and some of the upperclassmen, we really only have 2 seniors or 3 seniors on this ball club. Chris Simonton's a transfer. Justin Hovis, we discussed, and hopefully he's able to have a breakout season offensively. And PJ Nowak, and PJ's hurt right now, and we're in the process of getting him healthy, and hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. But you look at our juniors, and the majority of the juniors on the mound, I think have a chance to really, really be special. Joe Mockby's another guy that's going to close for us, out of the chute here, and we'll see if that, stays there or if we move him, to more, not more significant innings, but more innings, because his closer certainly is significant. But Joe being left-handed and throwing the way he does out of the pen and closing games out, I really like him back there. So he was another guy that I think is primed and ready to have a breakout season. But you look at our freshmen, junior-wise, Dan Durkin, I think, is another one who's really playing well right now. Very versatile kid, can play the outfield, can play the second base for us in the infield, and I think with his work ethic, his leadership ability, I would look for him to have a breakout season as well. And the freshmen are all very capable. Marty Bikina is going to make a run at third base, along with Hovis, but Royce Ando at short is going to battle with Corey Young, to kind of see how that plays out. So some of those new guys I think are really going to push some guys, which is going to make everybody better.
Who are you guys looking to?
I think, I think you guys, I think we're really going to like this ball club. I like this ball club. I've been out there a number of times watching practice and so forth. And the thing that strikes me with this club, and Jake alluded to it before as well, is that it's got a lot of moving parts. I mean, there are kids that you can plug in here, one day and plug in there the next day, and so on and so forth. And we're young, and we have, in my opinion, we've got a lot of baseball players. Mm-hmm. These kids know how to play baseball, okay, and encompassing the whole gamut of the game of baseball. These kids know how to play, and I think I think our strong suit is our pitching, and we have a lot of depth on the mound there, and we're going to have guys that are going to be pitching midweek that would be able to pitch on weekends for anybody else, and we haven't had that in a while, and so I can't wait till we get started and to watch these kids play.
Probably the one that I'm the most curious about and the most eager to see is Walter Borkovich, and because he made so much progress last year, even from the first game that I saw to the last game that I saw. It progressed all season long, and now talking about moving him out of the bullpen, possibly into a starter's role. It'll be very interesting to me to watch how he pitches.
Sure. Want to touch base too on the lineup a little bit. Leadoff, obviously, Cam gone.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that entering the season? Because again, the depth helps, but you got who'll be able to step up and take that role?
I think today, if we started today, I think Marty Bikina would probably lead off for us, a freshman. Had a great fall for us. Really. Again, like Senior said, I think he's a baseball player. He's not a hitter. He's not a defender. He's a baseball player, and knows the game. I think he's pretty good in that role as far as the leadoff guy is concerned. In the two-hole, could be Jordan Zimmerman, a transfer second baseman who's a very offensive player, had an unbelievable fall for us. He could hit in the two-hole, and with Hughes in the three. Could be McGuire in the four, or Dirk in there too. Again, it's because we have so many different options right now. Where there's a lot of different ways we could go. But you try to break it up into the top of the order, the middle, and the backside of it. And you try to have some speed in the backside, and at the top of the order, your RBI guys and your thumpers are in the middle somewhere, and. I think we can do that. So, we got a lot of decisions to make here in the next 11 days and a lot of different options to go.
Do you feel like you have a little bit more speed on the top of that lineup? I mean,
tough to say. You lost Gibson, who's as good as a runner as I've ever coached, and Checky's has a single season record for stolen bases here. So, I don't know that we have as much speed as we have in the past, but. I think at the same time, I think we're going to be very capable of stealing bases. Jordan Zimmerman is a kid who is going to be very capable of stealing bases. Bikina is going to be a kid who's just going to continue to get better and better once he learns, how to steal bases at this level. Zimmerman being a junior college kid is a guy that. has played at a very high level. They won a national championship at Mesa Community College with him there. He was the MVP of the World Series, and just an outstanding player who again knows the situation to run in, based on counts, based on tendencies of the guy that's throwing against us. And so I think he's a guy that's going to steal a lot of bases, but probably not as dynamic speed as we had a year ago.
I want to get all you guys' thoughts on the Big Ten Conference this year. You touched base on a little bit in our first half of the podcast. Of course, we'll have a more in-depth Big Ten look at it when conference play games. But I just want to get your overall thoughts, all three of you, on just how good the conference is coming into, or how it looks coming into this season.
Well, from my standpoint, it's going to be another great year of Big Ten baseball. I think top to bottom, the league is outstanding again. You could really make a case for probably 7 or 8 teams to win the conference, us being one of them, in my opinion. But I think Maryland is going to be very good. The right-hander that threw against us in the conference tournament last year is one of the best in the country. Name is Mike Shawaryn. He's going to be an outstanding arm in this league. I think Indiana's going to be, very good. Ohio State has got a couple guys that are projected to be, top 5-round draft picks. Michigan's going to have a solid club. Illinois, while they lost a lot from last year's ball club, they've got a couple big-time arms that are back. And, you don't win 50 games without not knowing how to win. And so, a lot of those guys are back as well. So that maybe didn't have a role on the field, but they were part of it, and that's always scary, from what they learned from the year before. So, a lot of good ball clubs. It's going to be another great year of Big Ten baseball.
And we see a lot of those clubs.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not only is the non-conference season difficult, the conference season's going to be difficult.
In Nebraska, again, Nebraska's Nebraska, and they've got a kid named Ryan Bolt who could be a first-rounder as well. And so, it's a very passionate baseball place out there in Lincoln. And so, we play those guys as well. Another outstanding club.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a lot of balance. A lot of clubs, I think, are pretty much at the same level, and I don't think one right now is head and shoulders above the other, which is going to really make for a very competitive and very interesting year.
Yeah, so basically just beating each other up pretty much, and hopefully one gets on a little bit of a streak,
Right.
Well, I think the reputation of the Big Ten nationally is starting to turn as well. And 5 teams in the tournament last year, and unfortunately we were the last team out, I guess. After the selection show, and so even that I think helps our league, and people are starting to see the quality of baseball that we play in this league.
What about you, Scott? What are you looking for?
You talk about being the last team out last year, and I got to figure that for the guys that are back this year, that's going to be a driving force, because now they realize one game can make a difference.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we place an importance on every day, as every coach here does, but we lived it last year, and it's tough. It's tough after that selection show and your name's not called, and it's tougher to hear the chairman of the committee mention us by name and basically say that one more win would have done it for us. And you look back with with some regrets, what could we have done differently to get that one more win? And so that's a situation we've talked about a lot. We've addressed that almost on a daily basis, and certainly don't want to feel that again. We'd like to have it in our own hands.
Sure.
All right, guys. Coach, to end this podcast, what would be the message you would tell the guys before taking the field for the first game?
Well,
what's the message?
I think that message is always the same. I mean, where else would you rather be? It's such an honor to put the green and white uniform on and represent Michigan State, and this is what they work, all year for, all summer, all fall. They lift all the weights. It's early morning practices on Saturday mornings, and it's all in preparation for that moment. And I think when you take a step back, our first pitch dinner was last night, and I think it's good for guys to see the amount of 300-400 people, 500 people that attend, and not only members of the community but alumni. We had 2 alums from the 1954 team there. There was an alum from the 40s that was there. People come from all over the country, and for those guys, for our players to see what Michigan State baseball means to a lot of people all over the country, I think is something that they can take with them when they put that jersey on, and it's important to a lot of people. And I think we have a responsibility, when we do understand that, to go out and play the game the right way. And our guys do that. They're ready to go every year. They do a great job of preparation, and it's a fun time of the year when you get out and compete.
And for you guys up in the booth in a couple of weeks, if you could give the fans one word about Spartan baseball entering the year, what would it be?
Exciting. I can't wait. As we said before, these kids know how to play baseball. You're going to see a bunch of kids out there playing a game really hard and really representing the university well. And it's going to be an exciting year for us.
I think for me it would be promise, because there is a lot of expectation now. Having just sat here for the last few minutes talking about the team, I'm excited about it as well. But it just seems like this team is on the verge of something special.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree. And I said that yesterday at our dinner. I think something special is happening. And I don't know what that is, and I don't know how it's going to end up. I can't tell you we're going to win a Big Ten championship. Certainly, that's the goal. I can't tell you that we're going to get a bid to the NCAA tournament. That's another one of the goals.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't necessarily put my finger on it, but I'm telling you something special is happening, and it's going to be fun to watch it play out with this team.
Well, exciting is the word for sure for Michigan State baseball program. So glad to have this time with all you guys today. I want to thank you, Michigan State baseball head coach Jake Boss Jr., of course, Scott Moore, Jake Boss Sr. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and it is going to be exciting. It's going to be one hell of a ride. I want to thank Seth Newman behind the camera as well. And until next time, fans, go green.